Hello there folks, my name is Stephanie, and you know the drill, new patch comparison. Let's get into it. For the Splattershot Nova, your movement speed while you are firing is about 10% faster. You will also be able to paint your feet a bit more consistently. With the Luna Blaster, the high damage indirect explosion was increased in size by about 50%. Big Swig Roller's vertical flick has altered damage fall off, making it fall off more gradually than it did before. Sniper Rider 5H's damage has been increased from 60 to 68. Slosher's damage fall off has been altered, and its minimum damage is now always 50. Mini Splatling got an increased firing duration by about 17%. With the Dapple Doolies, you can act a little bit faster out of a dodge roll. The Splat Doolies got a very similar change as well. With the reef-lux 450, the arrows now fire much closer to each other, and the movement speed while you are charging is about 10% faster. Angle Shooter now has pretty much double the paint that it had before. Burst Bomb now consumes 45% of the player's ink tank instead of the usual 40, now making Angle Shooter the cheapest sub-weapon in the game. The Inkfax vacuum hitbox is about 10% larger than it was before. Tacticooler can be thrown about 33% faster, and the area where you're able to grab a drink is pretty much doubled. Reef Slider's indirect damage has been increased from 60 to 70, and it now paints more than it used to. Inkjet's 50 damage indirect hitbox is now quite a bit larger, and the boost you get from pressing B is now way higher. Ultra Stamp's indirect hitbox is now 43% larger. The stamp also turns much faster than it did before, and with the continuous stamp attack, the stamp is now transparent on your screen, which, by the way, is my favorite change in this entire patch, which I'll get to later. Crab Tank is now unable to attack for about a third of a second after switching out of the ball form, and the special now has existent end lag. Yay! Kraken Royale's knockback on the tower is now much greater. And you can no longer carry clams with it. A couple of gear abilities were altered a bit. Sub-Resistance Up is now more resistant against burst bombs and fizzy bombs. Opening Gambit got some pretty drastic buffs. Back in Splatoon 2, if you got a kill with the ability in effect, you would get a boost of about 7.5 seconds. Now in Splatoon 3, it's a boost of about 15 seconds, which is ridiculous. I'm not going to make you wait through this entire thing. The pre-patch version ended its effects just after 37 seconds in the match, and the post-patch version ended the effect after 45 seconds of the match. Opening Gambit now also applies 30 ability points of Intensify Action. Hooray! The first patch in forever when they didn't needlessly buff shooter special costs is actually a good patch for once. All you need to know is that Carbon Roller Deco special is 10 points cheaper, while 96 Scal Deco special is 10 points more expensive. So this is the best patch we've had so far, and it's not even close. It's the first patch that really addressed any actual problems with the meta instead of just trying to dance around it. This patch really heavily focused on special balance, which was by far the most egregious part of Splatoon 3. I strongly doubt that Crab Tank and Kraken Royale are going to be bad specials going forward, but narrowing the gap between them and the absolute rock bottom specials is certainly a good move. I would personally argue that Ultra Stamp got some of the most drastic changes. Ultra Stamp barely even existed before, but the special feels substantially better now. And can I just talk for a moment about the transparency change? A big part of why Ultra Stamp was bad for a long time is because it blocked your view, and if you wanted to see people you had to look down. And looking down with the special reduced the hitbox size from a giant hammer to trying to swat at people with a pen. So instead of just trying to fix that and not fixing the actual usability issue, they addressed both at the same time. I know at some point Nintendo was finally going to release a patch that shows they actually understand what's going on with their game, and I really think they did it. Although I do think Splash itself should have been touched a lot more, and not just the parts of Splash's kit, since there's kind of a reason why it's the only good crab tank weapon right now. Talking a bit more about the main weapon changes, they really work to address a lot of the issues with so many of these weapons. Big Roller has zero issues with its supportive playstyle, and all of the issues with it being able to defend itself, and this patch directly addressed that. Sniper Rider's damage output was completely awful, especially in an object-heavy meta. This patch addressed that. Slosher struggled a lot on tall maps like Flounder Heights because of its damage fall-off mechanics. This patch addressed that. If it weren't for Charger Paint being untouched and Brella's still being untouched despite being the worst class in the game by far, this would probably be the literal perfect patch. But this is definitely the most perfect patch that Nintendo has done in a long time. Anyway, I'm sorry I was gone for an entire month, but hopefully it won't happen again. See you later.